Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast between Root QXC and Mouz Hasu, this time on Lost Temple. So we have QXC spawning here as the purple Terran player. Meanwhile, over here on the north side, we have Mouz Hasu Ob spawning as the blue Protoss. Once again, Protoss versus Terran, this time on Lost Temple. And because this is going to be a cross spawn, I'm expecting this game to go a little bit longer. Also, I do know the replay length, but I've tried to hide it from you guys, so hopefully you guys will not know the outcome of the battle too early. Now, excuse me. Now, with these two Xel'Naga towers, the center location will become very, very important, just because of the fact of the sheer walking distance between these two bases. When you're able to see your opponent's base as it's walking towards you, you can gain an idea of what you need to produce in order to counter it with the proper units. Very, very much so for the Protoss, as Protoss with those gateway units are able to just train up a unit in just 5 seconds of time, and then perhaps try to get in, or even use Chrono Boost in order to get Colossi out even more quickly. We now see a probe just wandering around over here, scouting in the counterclockwise direction, quickly finding that QXC has not spawned over here at the 9 o'clock position. Meanwhile, back here we see QXC opening up with his standard build, once again using the barracks here and making it very difficult for any probe harassment to try to come in. One of the benefits of this particular build is that if this SCV is ever along this side here, the probe essentially cannot get into this location in order to deal any damage here. We now see that there's an SCV moving out by QXC wanting to make sure that there are no probes inside his base trying to set up any proxy pylons, and in comes Hasu. So Hasu now trying to come in, trying to deal damage towards this one building SCV there. The SCV should be on the move, and there we go, moving off on this side as well. So the probe is essentially unable to get any real damage. And the probe now trying to come in, quickly sees that there is not anything being built there, and now in comes the probe now trying to harvest some minerals and able to escape there. We now see a second barracks being built off to the north. So QXC being a little bit sneaky with this one particular build, and now Hasu may try to come in and perhaps try to set up his own proxy pylon. No, not going to be able to set up anything there. The probe should be taking a wide run around this location here, making sure not to hug along that cliff, and able to barely escape there. We do see that the Marine making sure that there are no proxy pylons down here, as this one probe activating that Xel'Naga watchtower. QXC now on the move once again will quickly come into the base, see a cybernetics core. Most likely that cybernetics core will be chrono boosted in order to get that warp gate research, and also chrono boost the stalker. Early stalker are very, very important in order to deal with the scouting SCV. The SCV moves slower than that stalker, and that stalker with a range of 6 is essentially able to almost take down that SCV right as that stalker gets within range, and then a little bit of micro is able to just prevent any additional movement. So out moves the stalker. Stalker will be able to come in, engage against that SCV. SCV trying to run in, quickly able to see everything it needs to see there. Sees that there is one assimilator, second assimilator already coming in. Oh, canceling that second assimilator. Very, very interesting play. So we'll see how Hasu reacts. You can take a look back into QXC. QXC currently thinks that that assimilator is up and running. We now see one Reaper on the move. So QXC using Reapers now. A very, very interesting play, and now using a Reaper on that high ground, and that Reaper on the high ground is allowing him to deal damage, and now unable to get any real shots there. Now that Reaper trying to move back. The probe, however, getting a kill there. So now that Reaper going to just jump along this edge. No, going after that one probe. There it goes. Down goes that one probe, and now moving around. So I like this play by QXC. QXC moving a Reaper up onto that high ground, activating that Xel'Naga watchtower, so the stalker was unable to get any damage dealt onto that Reaper. The Reaper dealing 8 damage per attack, attacks relatively slowly, but still able to keep that Reaper in play for much, much longer. Back here we see 2 Marauders still being trained. We see the robotics facility, and now Hasu getting that very, very critical getting that critical nexus into play. That the Reaper, all it was used to do is just jump up along cliffs and make sure that the stalker is unable to get any additional damage out. We do see that that pylon now may get taken down. That pylon very, very low on hit points already. D8 charges along with the concussive shells. Down it goes. And now the Reaper just continuing to move around the map there. Stalkers, however, are much, much more quicker than these Marauders. And now down goes that one Reaper. Stalkers trying to engage once again. We have one low hit point Stalker. Will the Marauders be able to focus it down? Able to finally get that shot off. There we go. A Marauder trading its life for a Stalker, and now SCV is deciding to pull back. QXC looked like he was going to try to do an SCV Marauder rush and Marauder push, having those SCVs soak up a lot of damage relatively early. We see those SCVs now just losing their lives pretty needlessly so far. And now those SCVs, I believe, are on auto repair, able to heal back up. So that is 180 hit points worth of damage where they'll be able to soak up, or perhaps 20 shots from those Stalkers. Stalkers unable to deal maximum damage against those units there. And now setting up a bunker instead. So in comes a bunker. Those Marauders will be able to get in position. And now setting up a second bunker. A Stalker should be able to get up onto this high ground. It does see all of this currently coming online and coming into play. And now more units being warped in as well. Probes now coming off the mineral line. Probes, Marauders able to deal some damage against those units. And those Marauders with those concussive shells doing a lot of damage towards those probes. Probes getting taken down relatively quickly. SCVs also getting focused down as well. SCVs also trying to join in on that fight. Will those Marauders be able to jump in? No, unable to jump in just quite yet, as those bunkers have been completed. However, an Immortal coming out as well. So an Immortal coming against those Stalkers. Stalkers doing a lot of damage towards those Marauders. One Marauder should just stop, stand still, and then turn around and fight back there. However, those Marauders are just going to be able to continue to give chase there. I believe those two buildings were salvaged or destroyed, not 100% sure, as another bunker being placed down here. And now QXC needs to transition into something else. All this time he's been building off of a 2 racks, and now we see a command center lifting off. I thought for a moment he was going to try to take this island location here, but no, gonna land it off here, transfer some SCVs over from the main base most likely. Harvester count, both sides sitting at 25. Both sides lost a good amount of workers early on in this game just because of early aggression. SCVs trying to build bunkers here. Probes coming off the mineral line in order to soak up a lot of damage from those Marauders. Stalkers take so much damage from Marauders, and now Immortals able to join in, able to hold off this location there. So this game is now in transition. We'll see what exactly QXC is going to try to do in addition, and how Hasu will try to respond. I do not see any Stargates being built or any Twilight Council, so it looks like, yes, with that robotics bay, we will be going into more of a Colossus build. We do see a reactor being built in addition to a starport. So most likely we will see a reactor swap in just a moment there, and the starport currently being built there, and then that will be very, very strong counter. QXC also deciding to not use that one bunker on that high ground. We do see a lot of Marauders on the low ground, however no Marines. So without any Marines, this one observer will be able to gain a lot of sight relatively quickly. Starport, we'll see if it lifts off. Is it going to lift off and then try to swap with this one barracks, or will it add its own tech lab? No, going to go for a medevac instead, and now double train Marines out of this location here. The combat shield still has not been researched, and now we see a large movement coming in from Hasu. Hasu deciding to take his third base a mere 10 minutes into this game. So I don't know if I quite agree with Hasu trying to take this. Actually, no, it looks alright. He was now sitting at 37 harvesters. I guess he was chrono boosting some of his nexuses in order to try to increase his harvester count, and he should have enough probes in order to saturate this particular mineral patch as soon as this nexus is up. We now see a reactor swap here, and now lifting off this factory. So QXC deciding to go more for a medevac Viking Marine infantry mobility instead of using any siege tanks. So mech has not been used against Protoss in quite some time in any of the games that I've casted by QXC. QXC now moving out with this factory, making sure that there is no proxy pylons here, nothing to any hidden tech, perhaps even void rays, as now we see what Immortals and more units. Taking a look at the unit combinations and army size, both sides sitting about even so far. A little surprised that this nexus is not up yet, just quite yet, as we are now sitting on 41 harvesters, 43 harvesters coming in from Hasu. Hasu should be able to continue to chrono boost as well. He also has this forge up. This forge most likely will be a weapons upgrade. There we go. Should be chrono boosted, as well as those two nexuses do have a fair amount of energy between them. And then that level 1 weapons upgrade dealing so much additional damage, with those zealots dealing 2 more damage and those colossi dealing 4 more splash damage. One observer still off in this location was able to gain sight of this medevac. That medevac does have a group of Marines inside, and that combat shield has now been researched, or is now currently being researched. So it will be about another 70 units of time before that is that is completed, the medevac, taking a very, very roundabout drop, but it is going to be a double medevac drop. So it's going to be a medevac drop from the high ground and the low ground as well. That Zealot a little bit too far away, quickly dropping some of these units here. And now there are Colossus, so this one medevac needs to come in relatively quickly. Otherwise, the split drop will not be that effective. Photon cannons now trying to come in as well. One Zealot on that high ground, able to continue to just offer a lot of sight. And then in comes a second drop here. So double medevac drop, one of the signature moves of QXC. QXC now coming in. However, there are Stalkers here to engage it. So both sides taking a lot of damage. And now those Colossus only able to see that factory. I believe this medevac drop has pretty much been neutralized over here. So Hasu, knowing, I guess, QXC's game plan, realized that there was going to be a second drop in his base. Stalkers over there ready to engage it, and now that level 1 weapons upgrade nearing completion. So yeah, this ground army will be able to deal a lot of damage very, very quickly dropping off into this location here. And if a factory was able to come into here and then perhaps get a tech lab, we would be able to siege up from this side here, start dealing damage here, and then also guard against this particular expansion. So we'll see if QXC does anything sneaky with this one factory in the air. And now we see Marauders on the ground. Army-wise, both sides fairly even. However, the Colossus do have that level 1 weapons upgrade. Marines and Marauders also have that level 1 weapons upgrade, but I do not believe there are enough Vikings. So once again, the Nexus now, in comes another drop. Stalkers coming in to engage. Colossus, 3 Colossus quickly dropping all of those units there. Down goes that one medevac. Medevac pretty much didn't stand a chance as this Nexus now currently being warped in. We do have a couple of Marauders and Marines trying to clear out this location, and now some proxy pylon play here. So Hasu getting some proxy pylons here, may be able to come out and deal some damage. Perhaps when this army tries to move out, there is still one observer here. So Hasu does know exactly what QXC is doing. There is also some missile turrets being placed down here, and still some Vikings. So Vikings, missile turrets, no, a sensor tower now coming up online. So that one sensor tower will be able to gain additional sight. Not quite sure why you build a sensor tower right next to a Xel'Naga watchtower, as long as you control the QXC. And now in comes a group of Colossus now moving very, very carefully as I accidentally move my window. Let me readjust it for you guys. I hate it when this happens. Close enough for government work. Okay, so Colossus and now Stalkers coming in. We do see some proxy pylons here as the Marauders quickly are going to take down these buildings here. We do also see a factory now landing over here. Not quite sure what that's going to be doing, as those Vikings using that very, very long range of attack and using this pillar to its advantage. Stalkers unable to gain sight up there. We now see Marauders and Marines going to clean up this one particular pylon. We still see one probe hiding here, and now one proxy pylon off in that location. Production-wise, we now see a planetary fortress being upgraded over here, so QXC will be able to mine out of this location pretty defensively. And now we have a long game set for us, as the sides have been split north versus south, blue versus purple, as this observer now retreating home. A second command center being placed here. I'm not sure if this will be a second planetary fortress here, or will it be lifted off into this location. Stay tuned for part 2 of this replay between Mouz Hasu versus Root QXC here on Lost Temple.